Not too bad.
Yeah.
Oh. I believe Sunny will be joining us shortly, so.
Oh, cool. Was it this week that Daryl said that he couldn't make it, or was it next week?
I believe he had said he might have an issue this week, but he never sent me any message or anything, so I don't know if that will be an issue or not. But we'll wait a second anyways, because I believe Sunny sent me a message. He'd just be like a minute late or so a couple minutes late. And we're still waiting for John and possibly Daryl anyways.
Yep.
Hey there.
I'm here.
Hey, son.
What's up? Let me know if I need to go to push to talk at any point in the game, guys. I've got a new thingy-majigger for my audio. Hopefully fix the problems we had before.
Cool. Yeah.
Hello.
How's it going?
Hey.
When was the last time we ended a session and I felt safe? I don't think it's been for a while. Before Jartel, I think the session right before that one I felt okay.
Feeling safe is overrated.
Apparently. I mean, this is a lot more exciting.
I suppose it depends on who you ask, but yeah.
I mean, like, at this point, half of the party is under house arrest, half of the party is captured, and there's one more party member who is sleeping out in the forest alone.
No, there's...
And Oof is unaccounted for.
Actually, not quite. We're split into three at the moment. We've got 2 party members captured, 2 under house arrest, and 2 out wandering the street.
Yeah.
That's half and half, right?
Yeah, 3 halves.
That's a third.
I'm pretty sure it's 3 halves.
And to be fair, even that other third is not exactly doing the same thing with Kian out in the forest and Oof about to go talk to the leader of the religious
Free
order.
world.
Is that... Oh, man. Okay.
I mean, I tried to tell Kian to go to Oof, but yeah.
I mean,
He wanted to further split the party, apparently.
We need to go to, like, a teamwork workshop or something.
Yeah.
Party seminar. Like, we're not good at this.
We need to get like a chain, a long chain, and just attach it to each other like we did in the snow, and then just never take it off.
Yeah.
Grafted to our skin.
Yeah.
I mean, I think some party division is always interesting, although sometimes this party chooses the poor moments to do it, but...
Yep.
We've been doing it a lot, though. I feel like.
To be fair, I think this occasion was mostly accidental. I think the people that chased after the escape...
I had no idea they would be that far. I thought I would find them immediately, and then after that it was like, well, I guess I'm chasing them now. Too late to turn
pretty much like, like, we should turn around, but my character wouldn't turn around. We should turn around, but my character wouldn't turn around.
This is what I'm saying. Our characters need to go to like a seminar or something.
Okay. Well, hopefully, John will join us. If not, I suppose he had a lovely time out in the forest convening with nature. So,
Yeah.
but I presume he didn't say anything, so maybe he's just running a little late. But we'll get going. So would someone be willing to give us a brief recap of the last session?
So last session, August, Oof, and Devona were about to throw down with cultists, or so we thought. Except it turns out that they had, or at least August and Oof had something else in mind. So they managed to negotiate a prisoner exchange. The cultists said that they would make sure at least 2 of the people who were chasing underground got back out alive in exchange for 2 of their guys. So we only have 1 left. Oof and August also got a note, and it turned out that Oof has been carrying a bit of, only August knows this, but he's been carrying a little bit of Tathir around in his neck and has been working with him to do something that we're not quite sure. It's still being revealed, and he's allied. Tathir, not Oof, is allied to the cultists and is trying to get us on board, or at least some of us on board with the cultists. And Oof is now off with a meeting with the same cultists being brought to their leader. August and Devona managed to get back to the Grand Cathedral with one of the bodies, turned it in, where it turned out that, all the explosions going on in the city and stuff has brought really the wrong kind of attention. And Hammett and Executioner Drakkar are really not happy with us, so we're all under house arrest as soon as we arrive back, if any of us do. Meanwhile, underground, continuing to chase through, we found this huge labyrinthine complex that is way bigger than we thought, and it's full of traps and interesting looking things that we haven't taken very much time to explore, like laboratory rooms and magical stuff all over the place. And we sort of ran pretty haphazardly through it. Managed, unfortunately, in hindsight, to figure out how to open the magically locked door, which showed us into yet another huge altar room. This time, there actually was a cultist in there who looks fairly important. We were basically offered the choice of surrender or die, and we chose not to surrender. Kian and August ran away, and Dalen ran at him and clobbered him a bit before being taken down by literally 20 guys. August unfortunately got captured, but on sort of the way out. But Kian was able to get away, found his way back to the cathedral, but found that house arrest in the cathedral, so he's taking his rest out in the forest outside the city. August and Alice are under house arrest. Oof is at a meeting. Dalen is unconscious. Alice is resting, having come to consciousness briefly at the last session, but she is a...
Father's got a pen to sign, so I gotta go to him.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay, does that sound about right to everybody?
What? Okay. Yep.
Yes.
All
I
right.
do believe that I might have misheard, but I believe
Okay.
Alice was the other one captured. August is under
Okay.
house arrest.
That's right.
And Devona.
Devona is.
Yeah.
Although at least Devona had a conversation with a peculiar owl. So
Yes.
Wouldn't really call it a conversation.
fair enough. All right, then we will get going. I think it will be probably most logical to begin with Oof. You had been at a tavern or inn that you'd been told to go at off the note. Eventually, two elves approached you. You agreed to follow them, and you are currently underground, being led by these two elves towards their leader, it would seem.
Hi.
Hi, John.
Not much. Don't freak out. Because I just had a small heart attack. Today I was feeling
Okay.
bad.
Interesting.
It seems to have forgotten that we're having another phone call at the same time.
Apparently, yes. But maybe. But yes. So you are being led
From the clinic.
with those people.
John, we're on the line. We can hear you.
I don't think he's on his mic, but I think he left it on. But you are currently being led underground, following those two elves.
Dad got appendicitis. I gotta go. So she told me in contact.
Yeah. So what would you like to do? Are you just following them?
Yeah, I'm following them right now.
For some reason, hearing Keen in your head.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why that's happening, but okay. You do follow them down several. As you are kind of following them, it does kind of have a slope. It does start slightly sloping downward, and the tunnel system, which initially seemed pretty crude, does start kind of developing. Initially, kind of just seems like carved out of the ground. Eventually, moves into kind of stonework, hallways, torches, as well as kind of. It's clearly much more of a kind of marked space.
So I was like, oh god, okay.
Okay.
Eventually, they do reach this kind of end of the hall that you've been going down this end of this tunnel system. One of them kind of approaches the side of the tunnel, seems to do something on the wall, and the end of the wall opens up into a kind of small chamber room. You do see out several figures standing within that room. They do seem to be wearing attire, not like these two elves necessarily, but attire similar to the members that you had spoken to and fought beforehand. They are all wearing the masks and similar kinds of darkish cloaks.
Okay. How many of them are there?
Besides the two elves that you're going along with.
Uh-huh.
There is currently 4 of them in that small chamber.
Okay.
But they don't seem to pay you much mind, and neither the elves seem particularly surprised or bothered by it. And they just kind of move through the room to the other side, still expecting you to follow them.
Okay.
On the other side, there's another hallway, which they lead down. They go past a few doorways in that hallway, eventually kind of end at a kind of a larger set of doors. And they do seem to just be, they kind of stop there and just wait a second for you to catch up.
Okay.
When you have, they kind of turn to you. It's like, through there is our leader.
Yeah.
I'm sure he is very interested in speaking with you, although given the events that have happened lately, I presume he might be a little preoccupied, so we'll just wait a few minutes and make sure that we can have a uninterrupted meeting with him, if that's all right with you.
Yes, of course.
Fair enough. And then one of the elves kind of nods at the other, and he goes off down the hallway, seemingly to do his own thing.
Can I look around, see what's up?
Yeah. Just just kind of looking around in general.
Yeah.
Um,
For now.
Basically, you're kind of at this intersection. There's the hallway you just came down from. Where there are several doors on both sides of that hallway. Back towards that smallest chamber. There was an altar in that smallest chamber. There's a hallway then to your left and right. Both seem fairly similar to the one you had just come down. Doors on opposite sides of both of them, and they seem to stretch and both go around the corners. But there doesn't seem to be necessarily anything else. There's a large, like I said, set of double doors that seems to go into whatever this room is, where this leader figure is. Mostly lit by torches. It's fairly not really necessarily ornate or anything like that, but it is definitely well kept up. There are some paintings on the walls. There's like kind of a carpet running through a lot of the hallways. It's, like I said, not ornate or anything, but it is well decorated.
What is the painting on the walls of?
They seem to mostly be in the realm of the one nearest to you is a painting of this dragon, this large dragon figure.
Okay. Do I sense any emotional instability or stress in anyone?
Is that? Would you like to do an insight check for that?
Probably.
Okay, you can do an insight check.
Such a high roll.
Nothing particularly obvious. A few of these members that pass you in the hallway do seem a little bit like they seem to pick up the pace a little bit, like they are walking with purpose. But none of them seem necessarily like overly like anxious or anything like that.
Okay.
After a few more minutes pass, the one of the elves returns, kind of whispers something to the other, nods his head. They're ready for you. And they kind of move out of the way, and you could, if you would like, go through the doors.
Sure.
Okay. As you push open one of the two double doors, unless you're making a very dramatic entrance and opening both, but you kind of enter into a fairly largish room. It kind of seems like some kind of center of operations, although not necessarily as formal as that. It kind of seems to function as an office as well. There are bookshelves on both sides of the room, as well as two on the back. You do see there are two other exits on each side of the room, smaller doors than the one you have entered through. You do see sitting behind the central desk is the older kind of elvish man, although there are several members in the room as well, seemingly working on, well, they seem to be flipping through papers or doing something in that realm. The older elf does kind of, as you enter, kind of looks up at you. He's like, you must be the boy I was told about.
Yes, I'm the boy. Mm-hmm. Oof is the name.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Oof. I'm told that you are someone that can be trusted with our aims and goals.
Yes, I believe so. I believe we have the same end goal in mind.
Oh, that is good to hear. An ally is not common in these in these parts.
Yes, I don't know why people are so blind to what they're dealing with.
Well, it does seem to be the human condition.
Indeed.
Nonetheless, please Please have a seat. Any kind of motions at one of the 2 seats across from his desk.
I will pick the plushest.
Neither of them are particularly plush. They do seem mostly to be for utility. Just wooden chairs, but...
Okay.
Now, I'm also told that you have been in communication with several of our members and have given or have access to Thea. Is that correct?
That is indeed correct.
Well, do you currently have access to him with you?
Indeed. He's present right now.
It's good to know. We'll get there soon enough, but I believe we have a few more pressing matters to take care of, at least in the moment. One of your, we have 2 of your friends currently being held. The elf woman and the large Goliath.
Yep.
Are those indeed members of your party?
Sounds about right.
They have been, well, I can't say unharmed. They acted quite foolhardy and refused to surrender, but neither of them are mortally wounded, and they should both be resting and recovering as we speak.
Well, I can't say I'm surprised by their actions, but that's good to hear.
One of your members did either escape or perish. We have not found him yet.
Yes, I know who you're referring to. I mean, knowing him, he probably escaped. I'm hoping he didn't perish.
Well, your friends did cause a sizable chunk of our tunnel networks to collapse.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate.
Yes, the events that occurred are rather unfortunate and have sped up the timeline by quite a bit here. As you may have known or noticed on the surface, several bombs have been set off in the city.
I'm guessing that was not necessarily of your doing?
It was not. It seems one of your companions had gained access to some of our triggering devices and had, over the course of being down here, set them off.
I told him they were dangerous.
Well, apparently he didn't listen, so here we are. Like I mentioned, that has complicated matters, as I'm sure you could imagine.
Yes, I can, actually. I can only imagine the tizzy that Hammett is currently in.
Yes, I'm sure the Orthan government right now is quite in a tizzy about what's happened. We haven't struck out in any substantial way until this moment, so this is quite an uptick in any of our activity. Unplanned, but we have to make do with what we have.
This is true. Make the best of it.
Now, before I tell you the next bit, while I won't require anything like allegiance, I will require you to swear to the cause, if nothing else. I'm sure you can understand before we get into more delicate matters about some of the technical aspects of this operation. Again, not asking for you to join, just for a mutual kind of alliance, if that...
That's... Yeah, I think that's understandable. Can you tell me your cause, please? So I at least know we're both on the same page.
Of course. Our current goal is to destabilize the Orthan government and make room for some of our allies to intercede once the government and region has become destabilized enough.
Well, that sounds like a good start. I'm definitely on board with both of those.
And if you haven't had access to or talking to Seer, he is one of our allies.
We have indeed been in contact, and as I said, he is currently present.
Yeah, it's good to hear again. So that is our current goals.
Well, I definitely will support you 100% on those. Personally, I'd like to see the entire Orthan Republic utterly destroyed.
An ideal is always good to have, but you must understand that we are in a complicated situation with limited resources.
I get that.
So we've had to choose our moments and the ways we act very carefully.
Mm-hmm. Mind if I ask you a question?
Please, go ahead.
Tell me about this, the supreme leader, holier than thou, feller in charge of Orthan?
His heavily sovereign Dreadnought II.
Yes, him.
What would you like to know?
Well, how did he come to power? Is he thoroughly evil? What's his deal?
Well, he came to power after the death of his father. It's not a necessarily. The leaders of this nation aren't chosen by. Okay, fair enough, John. The leaders of this organization aren't chosen by like bloodline or anything like that, but his father was quite popular, and so he seized power after his father's death. As for if he's evil, I suppose that's up for interpretation. The government is quite oppressive to the people here, though, and that is where the roots of our organization began.
Does he treat most of the subjects of Orthan poorly?
The majority, yes, because the majority are poor.
And why haven't they risen up against him yet?
In my experience, revolution is not an easy task. It's not something people are willing to generally sacrifice for until things have reached a point where they're untenable.
Mm-hmm. And the right leader emerges, I suppose.
And the government does run a tight ship. I mean, for those that prize order, I'm sure there's some interest in preserving the systems in place.
Mm-hmm.
For better or worse. Our opinion is obviously worse.
Mm-hmm. What is the percentage of poor to non-poor?
Well, and we don't have any exact data like that. If I had to take a guess, I would say probably around 60 or 70% of the city you could classify as being in the lower classes, poor.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
With the poorest of those, of course, living in the lowest district.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you know anything about why someone would say "All hail the eagle"?
Yes, I mean, I have some ideas about that.
And it would be spoken in a language I didn't recognize, but I had it interpreted for me.
That would most likely be the old guard.
Yes, they were meeting in a building here, well, in the lower district. There seemed to be some sort of I don't know what it was. Gathering. At first, I thought it was a fight club, but I'm not quite sure that's what it was at this point.
There's a movement of loyalists to his heavenly sovereign. It sounds like them.
That would make sense.
They operate in secrecy. They're not official. So, it would make sense if that was them. If you could point out that building to us at some point, we would find that information very valuable.
Oh, I will gladly take you there.
But to the matters at hand. Like I said, we have 2 of your party currently being held. One worse for wear than the other, it would seem.
By the descriptions, it sounds like Alice and Dale.
Yes, if that's correct. We have not gotten their names. But we do have an issue as well. Like I mentioned, setting off those altars sped up our timeline by quite a bit here. And that has changed the game plan, so to speak.
So, how can I help you in this?
How much would you say that... I suppose there are 2 questions. How loyal to Orthan would you say each of those 2 are?
You know, Dalen, the Goliath, he seems fairly loyal. As for Alice, I can't say.
She does seem strange. But nonetheless, second question then would I suppose be, how much influence do you have over either of them?
Unfortunately, very little. Not really taken seriously by the rest of them. I think my youth has something to do with it. And
yes, it seems that many people are willing to disregard the younger among us, oftentimes. Generally speaking, I found that to be something not wise to do.
Well, I think the bigger picture must be looked at, and the right decisions have to be made based on one's own heart and feeling.
That is fair enough. And in terms of those actions, I am willing to propose an idea. Like I said, this timeline has sped up our plans by quite a bit. We had not necessarily been planning on setting off any of those triggers for at least another month. Some things aren't quite in place yet. But we had planned on pinning all of these explosions on the Orthan government themselves to try to stir up false reports of an antagonistic force within the city to try to strengthen their own militaristic position. While cynical, we believe that such a course of action could be quite effective. But since this has been split up, not everything was quite put into place yet. One of those things being a credible source that could pin these explosions on the Orthan Republic. But you mentioned that one of your members is loyal to Orthan, and if we could get them to announce or otherwise inform certain communities that it indeed was Orthan, that would be quite valuable to our cause and help speed up the process of mobilizing some of the lower district in our favor.
I can see how that would work.
do you think that either of these people, specifically, I suppose, this Valen that you speak of, could be persuaded to help in such a way?
Well, I would hope so. I mean, worst comes to worst, you could just pin the explosions on him. I mean, he did have the triggers. And he has been quite loyal to the Orthan Republic. He wants to rise up through the ranks. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a plausible path you could take. Hopefully, though, we could convince him otherwise of possibly turning. And maybe he could convince the people that the Orthan Republic is responsible, thereby saving his own life.
I do fear that he does not seem to have much of a care about that, given his actions when we tried to subdue your party in the first place.
Sounds about right.
But to hold up our end of the bargain, before we get ahead of ourselves here, I can show you to the rooms they're being kept in, so that you can confirm that they are alive and well.
That would be good, yes.
Fair enough. And he kind of motions his hand over and calls over one of the members. If you could please lead this young man, Oof, to the rooms of the captives to be able to confirm that they are indeed safe. He may have a conversation with them as well, as long as they're willing. He seems trustworthy, at least for now. The member kind of nods his head and motions for you to follow him.
Which I will do. And then it got really quiet.
Okay. I thought that might have been me for a second. But he disconnected twice today.
There he is.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can. Oh, were you talking?
Well, maybe, but I suppose. Did my mic cut out? Okay, but you can hear me now?
Yes.
All right, basically lead you down the hallway off to the side towards the back of this area, and lead you to these kinds of, there's several rooms along this, doors along this hallway. The doors are different than the previous ones. They seem to be made out of metal, and each one there is two of these members standing outside of them. He kind of motioned you towards one of the near doors. The elf woman is being kept inside there. You may enter if you would like.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Would I have finished a long rest at this point or not yet? 4 hours since I woke up.
It has not been 4 hours yet. You have probably been awake for about two at this point, 1.5, 2 hours.
I would like to ask the guards what sort of protections are on these doors.
They kind of looked at you, think to themselves for a second. Enough to keep someone inside. Basic magical wards, that kind of thing.
Okay. Are there bars on the door? Like, can I see through the door without opening the door?
No, it is solid metal.
Solid metal.
But you can see there is a latch on the outside that would keep it closed.
You say this is Alice's room, the girl? The woman? The lady?
Yes, the elf woman.
Hmm.
She seemed to be in a better condition. She may be conscious already.
If you open these doors, does that lower the wards on them?
No, the wards are independent. The doors are there for a physical escape, so to speak.
Or would it be possible to open the door?
That is the idea, yes.
As in, can we do it right now so I can see her?
Yes, you're free to go in.
Thank you. I'll enter the room and say, hello, Alice.
The door does close behind you.
Meditating? I assume I hear him.
You do.
Doesn't sound very distracted.
Doesn't sound
I
very
have 1 hit point, I believe. So I don't look good, but I will stop meditating. Oof. How did they capture you?
Oh, they didn't capture me. I came here on my own.
Why? What? I don't understand.
I'm hoping you will soon. Tell me your thoughts on the Orthan Republic.
Why did you come here? Did you surrender? Is everyone else okay? Where are August and Devona? Where's Keenan? Have you seen him?
I don't know where they are.
Have you heard anything about Dalen?
I believe he is alive, somewhere
That
here.
seems... What's going on here? Why don't you explain to me why you're here?
Well, have you gotten any odd feelings while you've been in Orthan, particularly about the Republic, the government?
You know,
I feel like I've got on hold music playing.
Okay, sorry about that. Anyway, I... No, but I don't know what you're talking about.
They seem to be very repressive government.
I think that this government is actually quite liberal. People here are allowed mostly free speech. Seems that people here even choose their occupations at will based off of their own skills and merit.
I think we've been led to believe that this place is better than it is. I really believe that the Republic is dangerous and oppressive, and I'm not sure that it should be in charge.
Take a second. Are you siding with the terrorists, then? Is that how you came to be here?
I wouldn't call them terrorists. More liberators.
As far as I can tell, they seek to disrupt the peace in the city. They wish to cause chaos where there is order. Is that incorrect?
It might seem that way. Let me think for a second.
Are we on a time schedule? Because I am quite tired. If you wouldn't mind, I could really use another couple of hours to find myself. I am also grievously wounded, as you can see, by these arrow holes and the such.
Hold this
also,
for a minute. It might help.
Okay. Wait, what vial is it?
I take a vial off my a necklace off my neck and hand it to you.
Sure, I'll hold this.
Okay, as you do pick it up, you hear a voice in your head. It says, "Hello, Alistair."
I don't think I've ever heard this.
You've never heard Zathir, no.
Hello?
I'm sorry about your current condition, but from what I understand, you should have just surrendered when you had the opportunity.
That
No.
was not an. That was never an option.
Your protection was guaranteed.
By
But
terror.
I can understand your trepidation. These religious members have extreme views in certain regards. I can give you that.
Have you been the one filling Oof's head with all these strange ideas?
He seems to have come to most of them of his own accord.
Who are you?
I believe your party has referred to me as Tathir.
I believe you tried to kill us.
And save you.
That doesn't make the other one better.
Well, I'm afraid your friend was quite stubborn.
Can I put the vial down?
You could.
Yeah, I will just place it, like, on the bed. Floor? Floor. And then I will close my eyes and begin to meditate. Oh, sorry. Oof. One more thing. Do you know where my spellbook is? Or my component pouch? Sword? Am I missing anything else? Or all the other things that I have? But mostly those things.
I don't know, but I will try to find out for you.
Thank you.
And I will pick
Going
up
to
the
rest.
file off the floor.
Fair enough. Do you leave the room?
Yes.
Okay. At this point, the member's still waiting outside. How did it go?
I don't think it went as well as I had hoped. She seems still very stubborn and believes Orthan is a good place. I'm not sure. I did let Tathir speak with her. Not sure how well that went. She put the vial down.
Well, sometimes people are foolish. But you can speak to your other friend if you would like as well.
Sure. She did ask, however, where her stuff was. If you released her, will you be giving that all back to her?
Ah, yes, we're just currently holding it. It is safe, being secured, but we felt it was unwise to leave those possessions with her, given the current circumstances.
Don't blame you.
But yes, if you follow me, and he takes you down a little farther down the hallway, about 3 doors farther down. Your Goliath friend is being held in there. I've been told by these two, and kind of points at the guard standing outside, believe that he has coming to consciousness.
Have you heard him say anything?
Nothing in particular, but there does seem to be movement coming from the inside, so...
I'm not quite sure I'm ready to face him. He kind of scares me, quite honestly.
We could send in guards with you if you would like.
Okay.
Kind of nods his head, motions down the hallway, and one guard from 2 other doors comes, and they seem to be willing to follow you into the room.
Dalen.
You are starting just to come back to consciousness, Dalen, around
Okay.
now.
I'll sit up. All my possessions are gone.
Yes, you are beyond the clothes on your back. You have nothing.
Does that include the cray?
Yes.
Okay. I'll sit up and I'll stretch.
You do see
Crick my neck a bit.
Oof and 2 of these members walk into the room, the door very rapidly closing behind them.
Oof for certain.
Dalen, how are you feeling?
Perturbed, oof for certain.
That's understandable.
Explain very quickly how you come to be here.
Well, it's my understanding you blew up a few altars.
Yes, that is one of the many things that you will answer for. But first, explain why you are here in the domain of our enemy, unharmed, and apparently being guarded.
Who do your loyalties lie with, Dalen?
Where do your loyalties lie? Representative Ufus, who has sworn himself to the Orthan Republic.
And I will look at the guards and ask to exit.
They will lead you out of the room.
I think that answers the question of...
But you are conscious now, Dalen, although you are at 1 hit point, so you may want to rest. It's obviously up to you, though.
I am. When they leave and close the door, I will just finish confirming that they've left me with absolutely nothing. What's the furniture situation in the room like?
Bed and 1 desk.
Great. I'll go to the desk and I want to break off a leg and use it as a makeshift club.
Okay, you could do that.
And happy that I have retrieved a weapon, having done so, I shall then lie down and go to sleep.
Okay. At this point, the member will lead you back, to that center kind of room. If you are following him still.
Yes.
And motioned you back to the desk. The older man does seem, the older elf man that you were talking to before does seem to be working on some paperwork, although as you enter, he turns back up his head. How did it go?
Not well.
To be expected, I suppose, in the circumstances.
Yes. I would ask that you spare Alice. If you have a way of sending her far away from here, that would be fine with me.
Well, both of their safety is currently guaranteed. We are men of our word.
As for Dalen, I think it's a hopeless cause.
We'll take that advice into consideration, although we have our ways if need be.
I understand.
Now it's I've been told at least, to my knowledge, that you have other party members, the one that escaped or is dead, as well as several others.
Yes. We have Devona.
Yes, the paladin.
Yes, indeed. Kian, who
could have escaped or is dead. We have not found a corpse in the rubble yet, but...
Yeah, I was going to ask if you've excavated any of it.
We started. It will be a slow process, though.
Well, I can only hope you don't find him. He's a pretty cool dude.
And then there's one more as well, correct?
Yes. August, I believe, is the last one.
Well, some of our informants have told us 2 of them have reached the palace.
Probably August and Devona, then. August might be able to work with. Devona, I'm not sure about.
Well, if you would, I believe now would be a good time. And he kind of holds out his hand. If I could speak with Tatir, please.
Just wrap your hand around this vial here.
He does so. A few minutes pass. He does seem to be having a conversation in his head. And he does, after a few minutes, pass it back to you.
Thank you. How did it go?
Interestingly, he has provided certain insights that will have proved quite helpful in the coming days.
Oh, that is good.
Some, indeed. From what I understand, I believe we could get more allies than may readily seem available. It seems that Tyr has certain leverage, although he will need time and access to some of your party.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you said this August fellow might be supportive,
Yes, I believe so.
but I believe we could get this paladin on our side as well with the information that Tyr has. But we'll see. Enough about that. My informants tell me they're being held in their room in the palace.
Sounds about right. Do you have informants in the palace?
We do. The Grand Cathedral, yes.
Mm-hmm.
From what I've understood from them, it seems that they're being held against their will, although they did go along with it by the looks of it. It seems that they're being held for questioning tomorrow morning for the explosions that happened in the city.
Mm. Do you think it would be wise to contact them before or after the questioning?
In my experience with this government, questioning has a high mortality rate in the Orthan Republic.
That's what I feared. Any way your informants can get me in there undetected?
Undetected would be problematic, although if you have access to your own ways of doing that, they can get you there. I could propose an alternative, though.
Okay.
While our resources are limited, the explosions have reduced the presence of guards around the Grand Cathedral, and I could spare some bodies in helping breaking them free, especially if you believe one of them to possibly be a candidate for our interests. And like I said, I believe Tyr could convince the paladin, possibly.
That could work.
We have yet to do a direct strike against the cathedral, so it will be risky.
What if you did a diversionary strike near the cathedral?
You think you could free both of them on your own?
It's possible. If I know where they are and the quickest route to them. And I don't suppose your informants could give me a key to their rooms, could you?
I'm afraid not.
Well, it's entirely possible. Help, of course, would be appreciated, but if you can't spare that, I will try without them.
Well, we have some tools at our disposal, and he kind of nods over to a member of this organization. He moves back to the back of the room, seems to open a compartment in the wall, and hands you 2 potion bottles.
And what are these?
Highly explosive.
Awesome. How do they operate?
Throw them at something, it explodes.
Well, that's fairly simple.
Direct. Yes.
Don't suppose you have any tunnels leading underground that would open up near the cathedral, do you?
There are several that open near, yes. That would be the plan. We have yet to successfully create a system that has direct access to the Grand Cathedral. It is relatively well protected.
Mm-hmm. What do your guys say about the number of guards currently protecting the entrances?
About half the usual.
And do you think a diversionary explosion would have them run off?
Not all of them, probably no.
Okay. Hmm.
If you know where the rooms are, though, we could possibly just free them from the outside.
That's a possibility, yes.
If you know where the rooms are and can point them out to my men, they could, like I said, free them from the outside, causing the explosions on the exterior of the rooms, and they could escape that way.
That seems like the safest plan so far.
It would be risky, but I think it could work.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it could. Well, shall we get started on this?
Yes, this should work. He motions over the man that had escorted you to the rooms of Alice and Dalen. Seems to have a brief conversation. He runs off. After a few minutes pass, the room does start bustling with more activity. Eventually, the older elf turns back to you. Well, I believe we have about a dozen men that could aid you. I hope that will be enough.
Should.
Fair
Are
enough.
are these men known to the Orthan Republic?
Not any more than the rest of us, no.
Okay. All right. I have some ideas. Yes.
And take this as well. And he slides you over a dagger.
Dagger. Do I?
If it looks that you should be captured, I would advise taking your own life.
It's not quite my style, but I definitely understand.
Trust me, the death that this will give you is much more quick, and much less painful than anything the Orthan government will do to you if you're captured.
Okay.
Now, you can follow them. They will lead you to one of the access points. You will come out, I believe. Yes, that probably makes the most sense. You will come out along the river to the south of the Grand Cathedral. After that, you will lead these men to the area where the rooms are being held, and then extract your party.
Okay. And you say that they are in their normal rooms, yes? According to your intel?
Yes, as far as we know, they should be in their rooms, yes.
Okay. Shall we go then?
Indeed. Any kind of motions the men to start heading off. Good luck. I hope to see you back here shortly.
Same.
I presume you are just going to follow them.
Yes. Oof is very interested in this dagger that he received. Can he do an Arcana check on it?
You could. It doesn't seem particularly magical.
I'll take his word at it.
You can see that the blade does glisten as you kind of move it through the light, though. So there does seem to be some kind of material applied to the blade. Probably guess it's poisonous.
Single use.
But you are currently heading off then to the Grand Cathedral?
Yeah. And just a heads up, I've got a lot of loud noise from the outside of my house right now, so I'm having a hard time hearing anything.
Fair enough. Well, we will cut very briefly to everyone else to see if they're doing anything. I believe. So, Alistair and Dalen, you are both trying to complete long rests currently?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And Kian, you are currently doing the same in the forest outside of the Orthan city?
Yep.
You will complete your long rests probably in the next hour or so. And Devona and August, you are both in your rooms. Are you also currently attempting to complete a long rest?
Yeah. So we'll probably only get to maybe a short one, I guess.
Depending on how things go.
Yeah. Not really helpful for me, but
I mean, what time is it really?
It is going on 1 a.m. at the moment.
All right, yeah. I always probably want to get some rest then.
Okay. It takes you about 45 minutes to get to the end of these tunnel systems. After you do get out of the central kind of, like I said, chambers that seem to be more constructed, it does kind of branch off into what looks like just carved out rock, more or less, and it is much more tunnel-like than hallway-like. You follow that for about 20 minutes, taking some turns. Eventually, you do exit. You do exit in a small kind of abandoned home along the riverside.
Okay. And how far is it from the cathedral?
About a 10-minute walk.
Okay. And I'm guessing Oof would actually know what, from the outside, what rooms would they would be in.
Yeah, you'd probably have a pretty good sense of it.
All right. I will lead the way there.
Before leaving, they do ask you, the leader of this group kind of turns to you. So where are their rooms at?
I will describe the location to them roughly. Have anything in mind?
Well, approaching as a group would be foolhardy.
Unwise at best.
So we'll break off, pairs of two. I'll send one of our members with you. And we will meet up there. Okay?
Okay.
At which point, in pairs of two, they do exit the building, about a minute between them. You're in the third group that leaves.
Okay.
Are you pretty much just taking a straight shot there, or what are you doing?
Well, since I'm in the third group, I'm just kind of following along.
You don't, I mean, by the time you leave, you don't see any of the other members.
Well,
Because there's been about a minute space between you.
I would say probably taking a slightly circuitous, that kind of route that I can't pronounce.
Okay. It will take you a little bit longer, but make a stealth roll.
I'm rolling super high today.
Yeah. I'll make a stealth roll for them as well. Yeah, your guys aren't super stealthy. Okay. As you are kind of going along this outer path, as you do get closer to the Grand Cathedral, one guard does approach both of you and says, "Halt. State your business."
I'll look at the other guard and see what he has to say first. Or up the man with me.
Yeah. He kind of approaches the guard and stabs him in the throat. Roll initiative.
Quite the diplomat.
Yep.
Not exactly their forte, no.
You know, Oof, you've gotten in with a really good crowd.
Yeah.
The best crowd, really. You can just put your token on the map just to have an initiative score.
Oh, that's overrated.
Yeah.
Not that I can see where I put him.
It's fine. I'll just add your turn. $14 for the guard. I'll just use. Okay. 14 and 8. All right. So it is culty member up first. Cool. So he did stab him. The guard needs to make a Constitution saving throw. Does make it. And as he swings again, he does miss on his second strike. The guard will attempt to retaliate with his own sword swing and hit for 8 points of slashing damage against this member. I believe Okay, it's your go. They are currently in sword combat. Play something at least for this. Might be a bit dramatic, but
Don't think I want to make a lot of noise to attract myself, so firing my gun might not be the wisest.
Fair enough.
I think I will pull out my light crossbow
Okay,
and aim it at the guard.
take a shot.
Fire off. And if that doesn't hit,
That very much will hit. I don't know. Okay, for 5 points of piercing damage. As your crossbow does sail past this cultist member and pierce into the guard side. Kind of lets out a grunt and snaps off half of the crossbow as he's fighting with this other member. Does that end your turn?
Yes.
All right. The member will then swing his sword in again against this guy and miss again. Not doing super hot there. The guard
would be completely hilarious if you lose this fight.
It would be very bad. We'll swing back with his long sword. Hit again. 5 points of piercing damage. It is your go. They're just the guard seems to be doing a little bit better right now, but yeah.
I will try again with the crossbow.
Okay. That will hit. For 5 more points of piercing damage. Okay. He will swing again. This time he will hit for 22 points of damage. The guard needs to make a con save on the poison damage. He will fail, so he'll take the full damage. He'll take 22. He looks pretty injured at this point. On his turn, he will swing in against the member again. Miss this time, but he starts yelling out for guards. Where did you go?
I'm going to do yet another. Well, if he's already yelled for the guards, I'm going with Kian, the Thunder Gun, Thunderbolt. Yeah, no doing English very well today.
Go for it. That will hit. 50. As you fire off, a loud thundering boom goes off, and he does fall, collapses to the ground.
And I will say, run, Forrest, run.
The second that he went down, the cult or religious member has already started booking it.
Oof is on his tails.
Okay. After about 20 seconds pass, you can hear yelling coming from the direction you have just ran from. It seems that they've just found the body of the guard you just shot. And you can kind of hear sounds coming off. You are approaching now the Grand Cathedral, the outer area of it. If you would like, you could either just make a gun for the room or try to go back and be sneaky again.
Oh. Would it be possible to do disguise self as a guard and, like, run towards the room?
Yeah, you could do that.
Alright, that's what I'm going to do.
You're a little short for a guard, but...
Well, it's a short guard.
I mean, you can fake up to a foot or something, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
So, but you are disguised self as a guard?
Yes.
Do you at least tell the cult member that you're doing that?
Yes.
Fair enough.
And I will also tell him if I grab him, just go along with it.
Kind of nod his head. Sounds like an alright plan. It's good to have someone with some skills up their sleeve. How do you want to approach?
Well, where are we in relation to the room?
You're on the outer layer of the Grand Cathedral currently. You would have to pass by a checkpoint basically to enter the inner grounds, which are gardens to get up. I mean, they're hardly gardens, but gardens nonetheless. And that would be outside of the rooms where your peers are staying.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll approach the checkpoint, and I will appear to have bound the other guy's hands and walk towards the checkpoint.
Kind of looks at you. You sure about that? It's a risky plan. It could work, though.
It could. We'll have to see. We'll have to do our best to get out of it.
Fair enough.
And I will just attempt to walk through the checkpoint as we get near it and nod to the other guards.
They kind of look over you. One of them does kind of call as you are approaching. And who is this? They seem to be motioning at the member you're currently holding.
Another one of those cultists. The Imperial Executor asked me to bring them personally to him.
They kind of look over you at a second. They are both going to make investigation rolls to see if they see through your disguise. What is your DC?
Dun, da, da, da. 17.
Okay. I will just do dose investigation rolls for them. They have both failed quite poorly. They kind of nod their heads. Be quick with it. There seems to be some activity going on in south of here.
Yeah, I heard that. You guys might want to go check that out.
You've already dispatched guards. It should be under control.
Awesome. All right, very good. Well, I'm off to the inside.
Fair enough. How far do you want to continue walking towards the main entrance before branching off?
I guess I'll look back and see if they're watching.
One of them does seem to keep an eye on you for about 10 seconds, but then does turn his eye back to the road.
And at that point, we are going to book it.
Okay, make a stealth roll. Okay, you're able to sneak off pretty easily without notice. When you do arrive, you do see, along with the one you have with you, there are 8 of the members have arrived and are waiting in the gardens.
Glad to see y'all made it here. All right. I will turn back into Oof.
Fair enough. You do see that at this point, initially you only saw about 4 of them, and 4 more do appear out of some bushes, and they all had crossbows trained at you, considering you were like, appearing as a guard, but... Clever trick.
I think so.
Now where is it? And they kind of look up at the cathedral itself. Their rooms are on the 3rd floor.
And I will point them out.
How do you want to do this?
I don't suppose we have any rope we can shoot up to the windows.
Better. And 2 of them pull out these small, fairly medium-sized kind of crossbows, but instead of seeing a bolt on the inside, you do kind of see basically a bolt with some kind of mechanism at the end and rope attached to it.
Excellent. Oof is quite impressed with this technology.
Stolen from the Orthan Republic themselves.
Ah, yes. I like
Seems
it.
only fitting that our first test of them is against them.
Mm-hmm. Let's try it out.
Okay, they will both fire off their crossbows. I'll have them do attack rolls just for accuracy's sake. Okay, yeah, they both hit right over the windows of the 2 rooms that you pointed out. Devona and August, while you are probably trying to sleep, you could make a perception check if you'd like, because there's a rather loud thunk against both of your walls. Okay, August, you're a little groggy, just trying to sleep.
Yeah.
But Devona, you do hear a thunk against the wall of your room, like something hitting into it.
Yeah,
With a lot of
probably
force.
go look at it.
Okay. As you look out the window, you can't see exactly what hit your wall, but you do see a rope coming down across your window to the ground, and you do see about 9 people standing outside in the gardens. You do recognize Oof, and you should see him with about 8 members of this cult.
And I'll wave up at her.
Devona will step slightly away from the window and consider her options here.
Fair enough. Is there anything you would like to do, or are you just going to wait?
I think she'll wait and see.
Fair enough. 2 of the cult members will approach you, Oof, and kind of pull out their hands. If you could give us those potions that you've been given earlier.
Here you go.
Thanks.
Hello?
Hey.
Hey.
Disconnected?
Maybe? I'm not anymore.
Fair enough. At which point they will both start climbing the ropes. Devona, you do see this. They seem to be climbing a rope to your window, holding on to a potion vial, and one seems to be, I guess he's still disconnecting, but that's fine. And one seems to be going up similarly to August's room. Are you still going to just wait and see what happens?
I am. I guess.
I'm considering my options. How far away is the floor? Like, you said we were in the...
You're in the third story. You're about maybe 25, 30 feet off the ground, something like that.
I'm wondering if... if I could do something.
Depends what you want to do.
Yeah. I think for now she'll step away from the window and ready her weapon, just in case.
Okay, fair enough. At which point, as they are climbing, the one that you around the group kind of turns to you. How would you prefer escaping? After we set off these explosions, we are going to get the guards noticed pretty quickly.
Who is he talking to?
You, Oof.
How far is the nearest exit?
The one we came through. But that will have guards at it. Every exit will. We could escape over the wall, and he kind of points back at the wall leading in the outer layer of the Grand Cathedral. And you do see several of those similar kind of grappling hook mechanisms, seemingly how these members got in the first place.
That is 100% brilliant. I think that's what we should do.
It does open us up to archer fire. That's the main drawback of that approach, but it allows us to escape without a direct confrontation with the guards.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds like our little distraction at least drew some more of them away anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. Kind of motions over at 4 of the other members, and they do prepare the ropes and make sure that they're lodged in. It seems that they are. At which point, the 2 climbing the ropes have gotten to a little bit below where the 2 rooms are, and he'll nod up at them. At which point, they will both toss about 10 feet up the 2 potions, and both of them explode, basically. At this point, August, you have been awoken. There is a sudden explosion in your room, and a good chunk of the wall near the window is just missing.
Oh, that's good. I'm gonna get my stuff.
At which point, both of the 2 finish climbing, and August and Vona, each of you see one of these cult members enter your room.
Devona standing pretty aggressively with her weapon, in a ready-to-fight kind of stance.
August
Okay.
is just gathering the stuff.
You're just trying to get everything together. But yeah, the one will turn towards you, Devota. Not a lot of time to explain, but if you want to escape, I would recommend doing so now. Oof's come here to rescue you.
Rescue.
Yeah. You're up for interrogation in the morning, are you not? The mortality rates in Orthan Republic of interrogations are pretty high, so I'd advise taking this while you can. But we don't have a lot of time, so take it or leave it. And at which point the cult member, unless you're going to try to stop him, will grab back onto the rope and start shimmying his way down.
I'm kind of wondering if Devona would believe him or not.
It's entirely up to you.
I guess I'll. Yeah, sure, why not? I'll gather my things and follow him very gingerly.
Fair enough. August, the one in your room, will, as you are gathering, is like, I would hurry up if I were you. We have very short time. Those explosions most certainly got the guard's attention. But if you want to escape, Oof has come here to rescue you. I would take it if I were you.
Of course.
At which point he will do similarly and start climbing back down the rope.
Yeah, I will climb down the rope after gathering my stuff, yeah.
Okay, as you do land in the kind of this courtyard garden area, you can all hear at this point there are shouts of guards coming from the west and the east, seemingly converging on where you are currently. Several of these members have already started climbing the wall over the outer wall and trying to go over to the other side. But you do both see Oof standing there, as well as several cult members waiting for you.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Yeah, as we're running, Devona will look at Oof and be like, "You have a lot of explaining to do."
You're not the first one I've heard that from today. But let's go. Come on.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you all climbing the ropes over the wall then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can all make athletics checks to see how quickly you climb the ropes in this situation.
This should be good.
With that -1, yeah. So August and Devona, you make your way up the wall. You are making the progress very rapidly. Oof is struggling a little bit. Didn't do well in gym class, apparently.
No shock there.
He is a little ways behind, although several of the cult members are wrapping up. At this point, the guards have arrived in the courtyard, and seeing what is happening, we'll start opening fire with several longbows and crossbows. Since you are both getting up rather quickly, there will be, 1970, but there will be 2 shots against each of you. Let me just do that real quick. Cool. So these first 2 are against you, August. Oh, those should be bows, but it has the same attack roll, so it's fine.
Yep, both hit.
Okay. Yeah, and it's okay. You take 18 points of piercing damage. And then these 2 are against you, Devona.
Yeah.
Okay, you take 16 points of piercing damage as you're climbing the rope, but you do get to the other side with 2 arrows in your back. Oof, you are not quite as lucky. You are going quite a bit more slowly. 4 arrows will be heading your way.
Pull me up, quick!
There's 1, 2. Apparently, you get the worst guards, except those 2.
2 of those will hit. If that equals.
What's your AC?
15.
Then yes, 2 will hit. So you take 9 points of piercing damage.
Oh, the pain!
I'm sure you'll survive somehow. You all have made it to the other side. A few of the cultists wrap up. One does kind of get caught up and falls. You see off the rope as a few arrows pierce into him. He's unable to hold on, but the rest have made it across. So you're now with Oof and 7 of these members, and they seem to start booking it down the street toward the south.
Let's go, boys and girls. Let's go.
Are you both following along then?
Yep.
For now, yeah.
Okay. You still can hear the call of the guards, and they are yelling out. At this point, you can also hear a bell start tolling from the Grand Cathedral. It seems to be some kind of alert, probably, that they are under attack or something else. As you are running down the streets southwards, let me do a quick roll myself. Okay. You do avoid the head guy of these members seems to kind of have a pretty good sense of the layout of the land and is dodging in and out of alleys as well as side streets as you are going down. About halfway there, at least to Oof and their knowledge, though, there are 4 guards standing in the street in your way, and as they see you approaching, they all clearly draw their weapons to try to stop you, even if they are outmanned. What would you like to do? Are you willing to go into combat with them, or are you going to try to avoid them?
Let's discuss.
There's not much discussion. You kind of have to make a choice. You can see a good chunk of the cultist members charge forward. They are going to fight them.
I guess we're gonna fight, kids.
You don't have to necessarily join them. It's up to you.
Oof will definitely stand back and watch. I mean, that's not a problem for him.
I guess seeing that Oof isn't fighting, Devon will look at him and be like, "What's going on?"
How many of them are engaging each other?
The 4 guards have charged forward, and 6 of the cultist members have go to meet them. 2 of them have stayed back with you, including the leader, but they have drawn their crossbows and seem to be starting to aim on them. You have a few seconds before combat begins to make a choice.
Well, Oof is going to suggest that we run while they're distracted with the other 6.
The leader kind of thinks over for a second, kind of turns to the other one. Help them if they need it, but we need to escape with these members. Kind of nods his head, and the one charges off towards the fight with his crossbow drawn, while the leader kind of's like, "We can continue then. That should prove a good enough distraction for now." And he darts off down one of the alleys.
Oof is following behind very closely and encouraging everyone else to follow.
Yep.
Devon is following, but like cursing like a sailor.
Fair enough. As you are running away, 15, 20 seconds later, you can still hear the sound of combat. It does sound like several more guards have joined the combat at this point, but it has proved an ample distraction. None of them seem to be heading your way at all. At which point, Oof, you do arrive back at a familiar abandoned home along the river. And the member does immediately go inside.
Follow him.
Okay. Presuming everyone else has, you have all entered this relatively abandoned-looking home, boarded up and the likes, although the door is open, or unlocked, that is, I suppose. And you can see there's just kind of a hole in the center of this abandoned home that just seems to go downward into a tunnel that has been dug out. But you are currently pretty much out of harm's way and out of any sense of combat or anything like that. So what would you like to do?
Oof is going to suggest we make good time getting back to where I started from.
Devon will stop him before he can makes it to the tunnel, and like, I think now's the time to give me some straight answers. I'm not following you anywhere before you do.
Well, here you got 2 options. We can talk on the way, or you can stay behind and get killed.
Aren't we in like a house and like there's no guards after us?
That is correct, but they might come at any time.
I think you owe Devona some answers. She really lied through her teeth for me back in the cathedral.
Well, that's good to hear. I'll just hand the vial to Devona.
Okay.
Okay.
Devona's like, what the hell is this?
A demon
I'm
to a
asking
paladin.
for
and trying to
answers.
go.
Yeah, I'm asking for answers and all I get is a vial?
Do you take it, though?
Yeah, but like, what the hell?
As you do take it, you do hear a voice in your head. Hello, Devona.
Hello?
So you want some answers, then?
Yeah,
Well,
and you are?
I believe your party has referred to me as Tathir.
Right.
I'm sure that's quite alarming to you, and that is fair enough. But if you're willing to listen, I can at least give you some answers.
Keep talking.
Well, Oof has decided, after some thought, that the Orthan Republic is clearly corrupt and dangerous to the point that some action had to be taken. And he has aligned himself, at least for now, with these members as Vi. I do not support all of their actions. I think they are quite extreme in some capacity, but I have aligned myself with them to the extent that I think they prove useful in our current circumstances. Their greater goals align with some of my own, that mostly being the ideal destruction of the Orthan Republic, and that is simply an ideal. For now, it is mostly just causing chaos. But I'm sure you might be interested in why that may be in the first place.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, both August and Oof have come to be aware of a prophecy that foretells the end times. And that prophecy entails that a force represented by a giant eagle will try to gain power far beyond their comprehension or knowledge, and in the process of doing so, will unleash, more or less, or hearken, I suppose, the end times. And me and my allies have been working to prevent that from happening. Sadly, they're already in the process of doing so, but we've done what we can with the forces that we have, and we are trying to amass right now. I'm sure your opinions of that may vary, and I'm not asking for anything like allegiance or loyalty, as I'm sure you have your own suspicions and doubts, and I would expect you not to be a fool and just blindly support one side or the other. But I can tell you that there are stakes in this for you as well.
Are there?
Well,
And what they may be?
You are a paladin, are you not?
Yes, I am. I think that's quite evident.
Eh, fair enough. And what god do you worship?
Taylor?
And how would you describe, I mean, it's important to you, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I swore an oath to him, and I intend to keep it.
Well, then our goals and interests align. To gain the power that they're trying to gain, the Orthan Republic, it plans to try to kill all of the gods.
You can clearly see Devon like bristle like a cat. Like, oh, yeah. It doesn't go well with her at all. How sure are you of this?
They've already killed one.
Which one?
Not one you know of. One of the old gods. A good friend. Well, used to be anyways. But their aim is eventually the destruction of all of them, and I'm sure you can realize that doing so would be very bad for this world, and probably cause this plane of existence to cease being. Or be subjugated at the very least.
How can they be so stupid to even consider doing that?
Well, that's up for debate. Now, none of the rest of your party knows this information, and the only reason you know is you have some stakes in this. I would prefer at the moment to keep this information on a need-to-know basis, as it could cause undue panic if this ever got out, obviously. And for the moment, that would not benefit my cause or our interests.
And what is your cause? In the long term?
The defeat of Orthan. Make sure they don't succeed. That's a start.
And after that?
Up for interpretation, I suppose.
I guess then we will be temporary allies until we can bring the Orthan Republic down.
Like I said, I'm not necessarily asking for loyalty or allegiance, just a shared alliance, considering our interests may align in the coming days. An understanding, if you will.
We can have that much, I suppose.
And with the stakes, I'm sure you could understand why I'm willing to align with someone like these religious members, I suppose you could call them if you're being kind. Like I said, their methods are extreme, but at the moment, the ends justify the means.
If we're really going against the Orthan Republic, which, yeah, there's no way I'm not going against them at this point, I'm willing to look away, look to the other side, I could say, from their action for now. But let me make myself clear. As soon as the Orthan Republic down, I'm back to, well, I'll be back on business, I suppose.
I would expect no less. Although maybe over time your opinions will change, but we'll see how this relationship develops, won't we?
Yes. And Devona will pass the vial back to Oof.
Thank you.
Well, I guess we should go then. And Devona will lead the way.
Well, it will be difficult to lead the way. You probably don't exactly know how to get where you're going, but...
Well, I mean, wasn't there a tunnel and the guy was in front of us?
Yeah, he's waiting, though, for you to finish talking.
Oh, right. I thought he was already moving them.
No,
Sorry,
he was
my
waiting
bad.
for you. It's all good. He was waiting.
Yeah.
Have you gotten the answers you need? That's the member, by the way.
Some of them. Others can come later, once we're in a safer place.
Fair enough. And we could uphold our end of the bargain. You can see that you'll be able to see that your party members have indeed been kept safe and alive. Since that is the deal we made.
Yeah.
At which point he will start heading down the tunnel and off on his way. Are you all following him?
Yeah.
Okay. It is quite a ways of a walk. It will take a good 15-20 minutes to get back at this point. We'll cut very quickly to Kian. Around this time, you would be finishing your long rest. So you have finished meditating in the forest. It's about, at this point, it's about 3 going on 4 in the morning. Since elves don't take very long to finish long rests. You there, John?
Perhaps not.
Perhaps not. Well, if he does come back, we can cut to him then and see what he wants to do. But I'll say you will also have been finishing your long rest right about now.
Excellent. Okay. So let me just give me some health. Half my hit die back, right? Rounded down or up? Swing down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Feeling much, much better. I would like to attempt to... Damn it, I don't have my component pouch, huh?
You don't have any of your belongings, no. Spellbook,
Got it.
component pouch, swords, armor. I don't think you even have any armor, but yeah.
Nope. Okay. What's in this room? Didn't really
Bed and
examine.
desk.
Bed and a desk. Anything on the desk? Is there a chair to the desk?
There's a small sheet stack of papers, as well as a pen that is attached to the desk.
Okay, but there's no chair on the desk.
Oh, there's a chair.
Okay,
Yeah.
Let me just tell you what I'm looking for. I'm trying to find a piece of leather in this room somewhere.
There is no leather in the room.
Okay. I would like to try the door then.
Okay. Well, would you just bang on it, or it is?
And I'd just like to try and open it.
Oh, it is completely like you don't move it at all.
Okay. Cool.
It
One
seems
of those.
completely locked.
And I don't see any other ways out of this room. No vents. Tiny. Oh, actually, I guess I'll check to see if magic works at all. I'll just like do a little ray of frost or something. See if I can cast spells here.
Where are you casting it?
Just like at the corner of the room or something. Just a little bit. Or a little bit of shocking grass in my hands just to see if I can get the spark.
Okay. Yeah, it does work.
Okay. Oh shit, I can't polymorph. Okay, I'd just like to ready in action then. When the door opens, I'm going to cast Greater Invisibility on myself.
Okay, so when the door opens, you want to cast Greater Invisibility on yourself?
Sit there and wait.
Okay. Fair enough. And yeah, that would be it. Dalen, you are still doing your long rest, I presume?
Yep. I'm assuming it hasn't been 8 hours.
It has, yes. Sadly, you are no longer an elf, so it will take a little while longer. But at this point, Devona, August, and Oof, you will have arrived back at this kind of central area. Oopsie. The one member does kind of turn to all of you, specifically you, Oof. Cool. We'll hop over that in a second. Does turn back to you, Oof. Anything you'd like to say to your party before moving forward here?
Thank you for coming with me. Do you have any questions?
Wait, if we have questions?
Yes. Do you have any questions?
Well, I'm curious as to what, and shall look at the cultist. What's your objective aside from taking down the Orthan Republic is?
Our deal would be to take it down and then the new government that benefits all people living here and not just those with money and power. Our society has been oppressed for far too long.
Oof has a question for them.
Okay.
Sonny has to swallow a donut first. Hold on. Okay. So, when you come up with this new government, will it be equitable to everyone, even those who aren't in your cult?
Yeah, I mean, those that have had power before may be punished for the excesses they've employed during their rule, but everyone else will be equitable, yeah. That's the ideal.
Fair enough.
Will it be an actual republic?
Someone has a keen eye? That's the goal, yeah.
Fair enough.
Well, if that's all the questions you have, I'm sure our leader has better
Why
answers
did
than I
you-
do anyways.
Why did you? Well, I don't know how to say this. Why did you set off those explosions?
Yeah, you might want to just ask our leader about that.
Fair enough.
Well then. And he kind of motions his hand for you to go through the doors.
I guess we go through the doors.
Fair enough. You do re-enter the room you were in before, Oof. Kind of this like command center / office space. You do see that older elf man against sitting behind kind of the central desk in the room. As you do all enter, this door is open. He puts up his head. Ah, so you made it all back. Glad to see it. Made quite a ruckus out there.
Yes.
Not as much as you did.
I
Did you
suppose
guys
it's
back?
5 have returned. The other ones are MIA currently.
Okay.
Now, I'm sure both of you have questions. As he turns to you, Devona and August. Please, take a seat. And he also kind of motions over at one of the other members, and they bring over an extra chair as well. So there are 3 chairs across from the desk from him.
How plush is it?
They're all just wooden chairs. There are no plush chairs.
Devona will not even move toward the chair. She just stays where she is.
Yeah, I'll sit down.
You don't have to be seated if you would prefer not to. Fair enough. Now, like I said, I'm sure both of you have questions. And I'm sure you have not had many answers yet, considering the circumstances of your escape. So, please, go ahead.
Why did you set up the explosions?
That was a unfortunate turn of events. As you see, we actually had no intention of setting off any of those explosions, at least not anytime soon. Sadly,
You
it seems...
still had the intent to set them off, though.
Yeah. In about a month's time. And with some variance, depending on the circumstances.
You didn't hurt the Orthan Republic with that. You hurt poor people, innocent people.
Yes, sadly a casualty of our conflict.
Unnecessary ones.
Well, unnecessary depending on how the next day unfolds. I suppose we'll see who's right after that.
Meaning?
He kind of turns to you, Oof, at this point. Can they be trusted?
I believe so.
Fair enough. Has Tathir had his conversation with her any kind of points at or like motions at Devona.
Yeah.
He did.
Good, good. So you understand the stakes then?
I do, very much so.
Well, then you can understand why we have taken the actions that we have. Our intentions were to set off these explosions and pin them on the Orthan government to cause unrest in the lower district specifically and gather support to our cause.
And you couldn't think of a better plan?
Not one that was this incendiary, no. The people have been very hesitant at taking any action. This state is very militaristic. We needed something that could incite direct cause of action and something that would have a devastating impact. While we are, like I said, it is an unfortunate loss of lives, but one we found to be necessary in the circumstances.
I can't agree with that. I can't. I really can't. If we're gonna do this together, you'll have to try and tone down the excessive amount of violence and deaths.
Well, while that would be ideal, in my experience, you have to meet violence with violence. If we stand by doing nothing, nothing will change.
I have no problem with bringing violence, as you say, to the Orthan Republic and those responsible, but not to the innocent.
Well, the timing was unfortunate. We had planned to set off the bombs during one of the festivals in the city, so there would have been minimal casualties when we had intended to set them off. Enough still to incite some kind of response, but far less than sending them off in the middle of the night when people are still in their homes sleeping.
What do you do then? Why did you do it then?
Well, we didn't. It seems one of your peers, one of the members of your party, had come into possession of several of the triggers for these devices and set them off over the course of them being down here. I believe it's the Goliath with your party gained possession of them.
Sounds about right.
We thought they were bombs. Oof!
I told them they were dangerous.
You really need to learn how to communicate with us better.
I know.
So yes, unfortunate timing, but considering that it has happened, we have to move to the next phase.
And that is?
Pinning the explosions on the Orthan Republic.
And how do you intend to do that?
Our initial intention was to capture a high-ranking member in the Orthan Republic and then get them. We had several targets that clearly valued their lives more than their loyalty, and we were going to have them either announce or spread the information that the Orthan Republic was the ones that actually did this. Sadly, we have not had the time to have that member in place and prepared, so we've formulated alternatives. And one of our current ideas that Oof could at least somewhat back up was to get one of your party members, ideally one loyal to Orthan, to do the work for us. Although Oof has informed me that that will be a very difficult task.
If you're talking about Dalon, then yeah.
Do any of you have any greater influence on him more than Oof did? Maybe you could convince him to be rational.
You need proof. you need to bring him some proof of the Orthan's Republic wrongdoing.
There's plenty of that, although I doubt he'll listen, or at least believe me, or any of our members. But if I was to give you some of that evidence, do you think one of you could convince him?
I could try. We don't know him. We haven't known him for a very long time, so. But I do believe he's one of the good guys. He's just. He has put his faith in the wrong people. That's all.
Well, people have a tendency to do that with faith, in my experience. No offense, of course.
Oh, none taken. And she'll, look at him derisively.
And this elf woman, Alice, I believe is her name, correct?
Yes.
What about her? Do you think she could be convinced?
Possibly.
Will one of you be able to talk with her?
I mean, maybe Oof could. You know, they had a teacher-student relationship. Maybe that would help.
Well, Oof has already tried talking to her once, although by the sounds of it, he was not particularly successful.
It doesn't really surprise me.
Yeah.
Would one of you be able to talk with her, maybe?
I could try. But I would like some proof as well.
Well, there's plenty, but it depends on what you're looking for.
Well, you know, proof of Orthan's intention, that kind of stuff.
Wait. I did have a question about this woman, Alice. She seems odd for an elf. Is there a reason for that?
None that I can think of.
Fair enough. But yeah, it's just that several months ago, there had been several elves that had suddenly appeared within Orthan. Similar appearance. I was curious if she had any connection to that.
And what happened to these elves that suddenly appeared?
They're all kidnapped. Currently being held by the Academy to the best of our intel. Most likely being experimented on in some capacity. They seem to have some interest in plane and travel.
Well, I can understand the interest, I suppose.
Yes, we fear that it has some connections to the power plays they may be trying to make. And I'm sure that if this woman, Alice, is connected, that could possibly be a way of convincing her if we could help her get back her people, right?
Could be.
Well, it's an idea at the very least. Tathir also mentioned having some leverage there, but he said his talk with her had not been particularly productive up to this point.
Well, from what I understand, Orthan is actually a better place than the nation she came from.
Hard to believe, but not impossible, I suppose. As for evidence, I have some, depending on what you think would be most helpful, but she is a magic user, correct? We found
Yes.
several casting relating objects on her in her possession when we captured her. Well, as you may have noticed, magic is not exactly looked upon very positively within Orthan.
Amongst other things, yeah, I noticed.
Well, about 20 years ago, Orthan actually committed a purge against all magic users within the city. They more or less, initially it started as registration. They had all magic users register as such. And that would be what, about 30, 40 years ago? And things only went worse from there. Some were still employed by the Orthan government, the rest were killed and tortured, as magic was considered too dangerous and unwieldy and uncontrollable. So those that do have those abilities are generally kept or captured by Orthan and used or killed, depending on their temperament, generally speaking. Of course, there's no official records of any of that happening. But as someone who experienced it, at which point he'll raise up one of the sleeves on the kind of cloak that he's wearing, and you can see branding along his entire right arm. I believe that's at least ample evidence of some wrongdoing, you could say.
Do you know where they are kept, these magic users, and if they would be willing to join our cause?
Initially, many of them are kept in the academy. Several are raised there, actually, if they are found within the city. But I fear that most of them will not be particularly keen on joining the cause, while we have tried to rescue as many as possible and keep them hidden and have developed them for our cause. Most that stay within the academy are raised for the sole purpose of serving Orthan and may as well have been brainwashed.
That's a shame.
It is. Like I said, while I am no fan of violence myself, I'm sure you can understand why I have taken the actions that I have. You could say I have some personal stakes in the matter.
Sorry, I didn't ask earlier, but what's your name?
Ah, yes. Quite rude of myself to not introduce, just things got a little bit caught up in the moment. There's been a lot going on. I'm Illithor. And he extends his hand out.
Devona very hesitantly takes it and shakes it.
Well, at the very least, I believe we could start with one of you at least trying, or more of you if you like, with Alice. She seems more amicable, possibly. Although, I can try to, while you're doing that, gather up at least some sense of evidence to try to present to Dalen, if you think that could help.
Like I said, I do believe he is a good person, and if we were to show him why what we're doing is right, he would go with it.
Fair enough. Well, he is snoring. If you would, and he kind of motions over to one of the members, he can lead you to where they're being kept. You can talk with at least Alice for now.
I do have one more question.
Go ahead.
I found a ruby necklace in a hidden vault, I guess would be the word. And I was wondering what it was for.
May I see it?
August will pull it out, hold it up, but he will not give it to him.
It's fair enough. He'll look it over. You can kind of see a half grin on his face. Quite a deadly little object you have there. I'm familiar with it, but I think we can have a conversation about that after these matters have been wrapped up.
Fair enough.
Just out of curiosity, what god do you follow?
Huh, that's an interesting question. Well, I could go on for quite a long time about that, and I'm sure you have some interest yourself as a paladin. Again, I feel like that's a conversation we can have after we wrapped up these more pressing matters, rather than having a theological conversation.
It tells a lot about a person and, well, their character.
That is true enough. You worship, and kind of looks you up and down, Paylor, I would guess?
I do.
Well, we're not exactly opposed, but again, like I said, we can have that conversation when we've dealt with the matters at hand. They are quite pressing. We are on a time clock here.
Very well.
At which
But
point,
we will be having that conversation at some point.
I'm looking forward to it. Kind of smiles again and motions for the one member, and he starts walking off down the hallway, seemingly leading to where they're being held. Who would like to go with them?
I'll follow him.
Would either Oof or Devona care to follow as well to talk to Alice?
I'll follow along, but I'm not going to enter the room.
Yeah, sure. Just keep or see how the conversation goes.
Fair enough. It takes a couple minutes, but they kind of lead you to a back area of this of these connecting hallways, and you do come to this kind of back hallway with several doors along one side of the hall, and you can see there's about 6 rooms, each with 2 guards posted outside. They do lead you up to the first one, and kind of turns back to the group. This is where the woman, Alice, is being held. Free to, whoever would like to go and talk with her is free to go in. And he kind of moves out of the way to let whoever would like to go forward. So who's entering the room then? Anybody? No one? Just gonna all stand there. No one really wants to go. Have that conversation.
Devona will push Augustine.
Oh, okay. Can you really push me, though? That's a real question.
She is pretty
We
strong.
can, we can see if we can push you if you want. Should we roll for it?
Are you allowing yourself to be pushed in, or do you want to contest the roll?
I think I'd rather contest that.
Okay. Both of you can make contesting athletic checks.
Really don't want to go talk to Alice.
I know, right? I'm almost offended.
It's gonna be a hard conversation no matter what.
Like I
Devona basically shoves you / pushes you into the room. Alice, you did have it held action. The door opens and August tumbles forward into the room, followed very closely behind by Devona.
Okay. I'm invisible.
All right. The second the door opened, August, you did see Alice for a split second probably, and then just disappear.
All right.
But you're both in the room, and the second both of you entered the room, the door closed behind you.
So she should be still in the room.
As far as you know.
Alice, you in here?
So the door is closed, right?
Yes.
I would like to move very close to the door so that when it does open, I might escape.
Okay. You could make a stealth roll with advantage because you're invisible.
Oh, okay.
But you could still make noise. But you do have advantage. You are invisible.
23.
Okay. You beat both their passive perceptions, so.
Although, this is not going how I wanted it to. Cannot do this for very long.
But yes, you have both entered this room, and there's no one inside. And no response when you called out if Alice was there.
August probably has already seen her use invisibility, right?
I believe this entire party has seen her use invisibility at least once.
Probably.
Yeah, she's used it a bunch.
Yeah. All right. How big is this room?
It's only about 10 by 10.
All right. I'm just gonna hold my arms out, just almost T-pose, and just walk around the room until I bump into something.
I will crouch. So you guys still have all your stuff, right?
They do still have all their stuff, at least that they would carry into the room.
Do any of you have a knife on your belt or something?
I do not have any daggers.
I might have 12 on me.
You have 12 daggers?
Yes.
As he's just clanking around with daggers scattered across his body, apparently.
Okay, so there's another thing I'm wondering about invisibility. If I were to get one and put it in my cloak, would it also be invisible?
I believe once it's in your possession, yes.
Okay.
But you would need to make a sleight of hand check to steal one, obviously.
Right. Of course I would. I would like to do that.
Before that, I will give August, since he is actively looking around the room in a T-pose, you do get an investigation roll.
Oh, I'm good at those.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
You have no idea where Alice is. But Alice, you could try sneaking up then and stealing one of the daggers.
Yeah, I just want to, when he's positioned in a way where he's between me and Devona, I just want to, slide one of his daggers into my cloak. Stealthy,
You do need to make a sleight of hand check.
Do I get advantage?
I
No?
don't think invisibility confers an advantage on that because it's them feeling if it's stolen or not.
Had to try.
Okay. August, what is your passive perception? That's what it's
14.
going against. Okay. You feel a invisible hand, but you feel a hand move along your belt and start pulling a knife out of your belt.
I'm gonna just grab the hand. It's like, Alice, is this you?
Your hand is being held right now, Alice.
Maybe. And I will unbecome invisible because that spell only lasts for a minute.
Alice does appear with her hand near your belt, grabbing one of the daggers, and you have grabbed her hand. But yes, she goes out of invisibility and appears in the room.
You
Hello.
know, I don't think you should have tried to grab for a dagger there. That's a bit worrisome.
You have plenty.
I mean, you could have just asked.
I could have, but I don't know exactly why you're here.
Yeah, to talk you into maybe seeing why it's not exactly a good idea to be with the Orthan Republic.
I see. Well, giving me this dagger might help with your persuasion attack.
I mean, I have no intentions of not giving you a dagger, you know. They'll just hand over a dagger.
That in my cloak.
Okay.
Do you know where my spellbook is? Or
No idea.
my component pouch? I'm also missing a bracelet and my sword.
No.
I'm pretty sure the cultists have it.
Okay. I need to get those things back now. Can you open this door?
Before that, I think we need to have a talk about who we're going to be working for.
I think I would feel much more comfortable with this conversation if we did that after.
I don't think we can have that conversation after, though.
Because as you may understand, the two of you have come here together, armed, to have this discussion with me. And I have the distinct impression that if I don't agree with whatever you say, you will leave this place and I will stay here. So I don't think this place is conducive for an action. This is an interrogation held under.
And say we were to give you your things back, and you were to disagree with us on this. Would you go back to Hammett and tell him where we are and what we're doing? Oh, okay. Never mind.
Straight up just leave.
Teleports away.
Probably doesn't
Yeah.
quite have access to that yet.
Has she got Dimension Door?
She would have access to it. She didn't take it.
So she can't just bam at it.
Okay, I'm back now. Did anyone respond to what I said? Because I just heard an awkward silence again.
I think the last thing I
Yeah.
heard was Sam speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't hear anyone talk after me.
What was the last thing you said?
This is an interrogation under duress.
Yeah, I was saying, so, and suppose that we were to give you back your things and, well, have this conversation the way you want to have it. And say you didn't agree with our point of view. Would you try to go back to Hammett and tell him where we are and what we're doing. You can understand why that would put us in quite the, well, troublesome situation, I suppose.
I believe that our relationship, as I understand it, is called friendship. And on behalf of that, I would not do such a thing without telling you. I have other things in the city that are more important to me. But I will not say that I won't do that. But I would let you know.
Well, the cultists seem to have knowledge about the whereabouts of your people, I suppose.
I know where they are.
They may have some more information to give you.
And I would perhaps be interested in talking to them under the conditions that we have already discussed. So,
I think I would be willing to give you back your things. August, what do you say?
I'm fine with it. Worst case scenario. Let's not talk about that. Yeah, I'm fine with it.
And you would be willing to listen, Alice?
I would be.
Can I insight check that?
Sure.
Yeah, you can do an insight roll.
I am famously a terrible liar.
Well, my insight isn't the best.
Okay, and Alice, are you lying?
No.
Alright. The best you can tell, Alice seems to be telling the truth.
Alright. Devana will motion to the cultists outside.
You can leave the room whenever you want.
Oh, we can?
This was an option?
You can. Alice can't.
Alright, then Devona will open the door and wait for Alice to walk out before doing so.
I will walk out.
When you reach the exit, there seems to be a barrier in your way and you cannot leave.
Huh.
This is certainly interesting magic, if troublesome.
Well, wait here a second, and Devona will go to the cultist.
Okay. Before we do that, John, are you there? Maybe, maybe not. Because technically he has finished his long rest. Kian has.
I don't hear anything.
Yeah, I don't think so.
He's supposed to be back anyways.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. There.
Sorry. You have finished your long rest.
All right, what time of day is it about?
When you finish your long rest, it's a little before where the party's at right now. It was about 3 going on 4 in the morning.
Okay. Oh, okay, so it's dark out. All right, well, I'm gonna turn into an owl and then just start flying towards the lower district of the city.
It takes you about 15 minutes to get to the lower district.
Okay, I'd like to fly to where the explosion was.
Okay.
And once I get there, I'm gonna turn. I'll find somewhere like a roof or something where I won't be seen. I will not stop being an owl. Cast locate creature. I'm gonna try and find Alice. And then I will turn back into an owl, and I'm just gonna start spiraling outwards in the sky, trying to wait till I feel Alice's presence.
Okay, what's the range on that?
1,000 feet, and it lasts an hour. I can
Damn.
cover a pretty good distance. I might be able to cover the whole city. I don't know how big Orthan is, but
And owls fly at like 60 or 30.
60.
They should be able to cover
huge
quite a bit of
distance.
space. You don't pick up anything immediately. Eventually, though, as you are still in the lower district, kind of in the western area of the lower district, I guess just as a point of reference, we can hop to the map. Let's see where we're at here. If it'll let me. Cool. If it'll, yeah, there we go. You kind of pick up, you do pick her presence up about when you're flying over here. And she seems to be about probably 100, 150 feet underground.
Okay. I am going to just get as close as I can, like, above ground, and just start trying to find like a sewer or like an alley or some kind of entrance below the earth.
You mean you're not gonna turn into a badger and dig your way down?
Nope.
Okay. You're able to pretty much get right on above her. She's probably where you're at, not flying on the ground level anymore. Pretty much probably maybe 75 feet underground or so. And it takes a little while, but it's not too difficult. You do find along one of the side streets, there's a grate, kind of a sewer grate.
Alright. I'm just gonna go down there and start trying to find my friend.
Staying in owl form.
As long as I can. But like, if the terrain becomes too difficult, I'll just turn back into myself.
Well, I mean, it's important in the sense that the grates weren't super large, so if you were a person keying, you would have had some difficulty, but an
perfect.
owl
Then
could
I will
fit
be an
through.
owl, and I'll just shimmy between the bars.
You are able to get through. You do seem to come down into what appears to be a sewer. Not exactly advanced or anything. There does seem to be a walkway along one side, and the water, quote unquote, flowing on the other side, taking up the majority of the sewer.
Yeah, I'll just start flying and using what's left of the locate creature to try and find Alice.
Okay, make an investigation roll with the owl's investigation, I suppose.
I know I'm a druid. I have my own mental stats.
Fair enough. Yeah, I guess unless it's better, but
Oh no, owls aren't proficient in investigation. Fun fact.
But is an owl smarter than you?
Thankfully, no.
Then fair enough. But just make an investigation roll.
Sure. I know it's usually for perception checks, but could I maybe get the advantage from the owl's keen sight on this check?
This is not going to be entirely sight-based.
Okay.
Okay. It takes you a little while, but kind of circling around the points that are nearest to her, eventually you do sense basically there's a kind of a breeze going off to one of the sides of this sewer system, like kind of one of the access points, like an access tunnel kind of.
Sure.
And it does seem to be in the vague direction of Alice.
Okay. I'm gonna head down that access point then.
Okay. Towards it goes for about 50, 60 feet, and there's a door at the end of it.
I guess I'll have to turn back into Kian at this point. Owls aren't famous for being able to open doors. And I'll just go and try the handle.
It is locked.
Damn it. Alright.
But you do recognize the kind of architecture, the design of the door. It's very similar to what you had seen in that underground layer before.
The ones that like don't open at all unless you like Like the ones that are immovable, essentially?
No.
Okay.
It is not like the immovable doors, but it's more just like the other doors you had found down there. Seems to be of the same design.
Okay. And there's, I mean, I don't know how to pick a lock.
You mean you can't turn into a key?
No, unfortunately, I can't. I guess I'll knock on the door.
Okay. There's no response.
Oh well, shit. I mean, I still, and how close do I feel roughly to Alice at this point?
You're not quite level with her. She seems to still be probably a good 30, 40 feet below you. Not like directly below you, just in terms of, the latitude or whatever.
Okay. Well,
But and then probably about a good couple 100 feet away from you.
I'm really tired of this whole like summoning badgers and waiting forever kind of thing. So Kian is going to just walk a little bit away from the door, draw a little circle around himself in the dirt, and then focus through his focus and spend a minute conjuring an earth elemental. And he's going to tell the earth elemental to get through that door.
Okay. After about a minute, you do summon an earth elemental. It is not a particularly sturdy door, so I won't make you make a roll for it. It is able to pretty easily bash it open.
Alright. Well, since stealth is at the window, Kian's just going to yell, "Hey, fuckers! Give me back my friend!"
I like this approach.
The door opened up into a hallway, but it is entirely empty. You have yelled down an empty hallway, but...
Well, I'm just gonna direct my earth elemental to go in front of me and start walking in the direction that I used to feel Alice in, because I can't concentrate on both spells at once.
Fair enough. You probably walk down the hallway for about a minute, and you do kind of come across a staircase leading downward.
Alright, I'll send the earth elemental first, and then I'll go down behind it.
Okay. As you do, you probably go down it's a pretty long staircase, actually. So you probably would be able to guess that you're probably, by the time you're down all the way, you probably are level with LSA at this point.
Okay. And I haven't seen any other doors or anything like that?
No, this seems to have been a straight shot thus far. You enter into this kind of small room. 2 torches, one on either side. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot in the room. There's a door on the other side. This time you can see it's very similar, wooden door, sorry, but there's a slot across the top part. Seemingly that could be opened.
I'm going to ask my earth elemental if there's anyone else on the other side of the door, because he's got 60 feet of tremor sense.
Okay. It replies in, I don't know, what do earth elementals speak?
Terran,
Celestial.
which I speak. I speak primordial, so.
Okay, fair enough. It responds in primordial that it senses 2 people on the other side of the door.
Okay. And the door looks like it's not, just as sturdy as the other one?
Yeah, more or less, yeah. Maybe
Cool.
probably a little bit more sturdy, but an earth elemental will most likely get through.
I'm just gonna knock very lightly on the door.
A few seconds pass, and the slit opens, and you do see you are face to face with one of those probably all too familiar masks at this point.
Hi! I think we've met before, but I was a lot more tired and weak then. You want to let me in and give me back my friend, or I'm gonna huff and puff and blow down your door?
He seems confused by your statement. I'm sorry, I don't believe we met.
Alright. That's not the answer I wanted to hear. I'm gonna look at my earth elemental and say, take it apart.
Okay. Again, the door isn't exactly super sturdy, so you would be able to bust it open. And there are two cultists on the other side, one kind of stumbling backwards as he saw an earth elemental tumbling towards the door. The other one has his crossbow out, trained on you.
I'm just gonna like look at him and shake my head, and then look back at the cultists and say, is there a strange-haired elf down here somewhere? I'm looking for her.
Are you... Wait, are you Kian?
Oh, good. We're getting somewhere. I'm Kian. You're soon to be dead if you don't answer my question.
Your party is here, and they are safe. We would prefer if you would take a less aggressive tone here. We're not enemies.
Oh, I'm sorry. You must be confused or crazy, which I'm pretty sure is both. Where are my friends, you lying sack of shit? Tell me, or my earth elemental is going to crush your head like a watermelon.
Well, 3 of them are currently meeting with our leader.
What? Insight? I mean, can I do it? I guess I'll roll, but like...
You can,
I think
yeah, you can roll insight.
truthful.
He seems to be telling the truth.
Alright then. Well, take me to your leader.
Could you do something about that? And they just kind of point at the earth elemental.
If I stop concentrating on the spell, then he will go free, and it won't be forced to obey my will. So no, I can't.
Can you at least keep him out here?
No, I think I'd prefer to keep him by my side. Given that the last time I met your friends, I almost died in a cave-in, so...
Which was caused by one of your other friends.
So you say. You evil, evil cultists. Just take me to my friends.
Fair enough. If you want, please go ahead. And they kind of motion you to go in front of them.
Okay. I make sure the earth elemental goes in front of me.
Okay. As you are walking down these hallways, 2 other cultists do join them. They do seem to have their crossbows not trained on you, but ready, given your posturing.
I'll just like look back at them and say, like, I'm not lying. If you shoot me and I lose concentration, it'll be worse because it will just be able to run free.
We'll take that risk.
All right.
It does take about 10 minutes of going down these hallways. By the end of it, you have about a dozen cultists following you. They seem to kind of just call over help as they're walking, as you are. So far, they don't exactly trust you at all. But you do kind of enter this more central kind of hallway, and there's a large set of doors on the end of it. The friends are in there, talking. If you could just give us a moment and let them know what's happening first.
You've got 5 seconds before I tell my earth elemental to take apart that door.
One of
So
the
if you
cultists,
shoot me, I will just summon another, so...
one of the cultists kind of scurries off, goes through the door. At which point, Devona and August, you have just pretty much just gotten back from talking with Allison. You see one of them, these members, kind of half jog, half run over to the leader and whisper something in his ear. And then he turns to you. It seems your other friend has arrived. The one you called Kian? He seems to be outside with an earth elemental. Is that usual for him?
I could
Somewhat.
see it that way, yeah.
Oh,
Am I locked in my room, or?
yeah, I mean, they haven't gotten you out yet.
Am I standing in the open doorway, or they slammed the door in my face?
The door's
No,
still
it's
open.
still open, yeah.
They didn't close it, but they are watching you.
Can you bring him here?
What, sorry?
The Kian. Can you bring him
Oh,
here?
you don't hear this conversation.
Oh, great. The door's open, I'm just staring at them.
You're like in a hallway, like a good ways away from where they're currently at, because they're down.
Oh, okay.
They got back to this. I presume Devota and August, you were heading back towards the main meeting room to talk to the leader about getting Alice out?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I understand.
Well, fair enough. Let him in. And the cultist kind of runs over back to the door and opens it, and you do see Kian standing there with an Earth Elemental.
I wave.
What? How? I thought you guys were under house arrest.
Yeah, we didn't really want that.
They captured you too?
Define capture.
Abduct against your will.
Then no, we didn't want to be under house arrest.
What is going on? Why are you guys here and talking to their leader? Where is Alice and that other guy?
So Alice is back around there, and Devona will point to the direction of where Alice is.
Why isn't she with you? Why haven't you rescued her? I assume that's why you're here, right?
Kind of, yeah. And Devona will look at the cultist. By the way, can we maybe get Alice out of that cell and give her her things back? I think she would be willing to listen then.
What? What do you mean willing to listen?
To what we have to say, of course.
What do you mean you have stuff to say? These people tried to kill us.
To be fair, you are the ones that came storming into our home and attacked us. But yeah, take it as
We
you
were
will.
on official orders.
Yeah, those orders, though, we seem to be, well, seem
They
to have
had
been
bombs that blew up entire sections of the city, killed dozens of people.
Yeah, I'm still pretty miffed. I would say about that as well. But that was actually Dalen's doing. Remember those?
Yeah, no, I remember those. We
Bombs?
figured out that they were triggers. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It really doesn't excuse the fact that they had planted them.
Apparently, they were going to use them when fewer people were around.
I don't believe anything they say. Devona, you're a paladin. You should know better than this.
I do. It's why I'm considering this actually.
Kian is
Please.
very confused and flabbergasted.
At this
he's
point,
gonna-
the older elf will content you. If you would, if we're going to fetch Alice anyways, I'm sure we could kill two birds with one stone and explain to both of you at the same time. That might be more productive.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm sure you have plenty of questions, and we have answers. As you can see, you're under no threat. All your friends here are of their own free will.
Well.
Yeah. All of my friends are here of their own free will.
Well, as you are quite aware, you did resist, as well as your friend Alice and Dalen.
Resist
So,
being
precautions had
taken
to be
captive.
taken. We were. You know what? Just get Alice, and then we can explain ourselves. At which point, he kind of motions off to one of the other members, and they, one of them does head towards your